Hey everyone, Cahlen here, and I got a question basically asking for a summary of why I live the way I do, basically living off grid and trying to live as removed from the system as possible. So I have done some videos on this, but at this point I think they're over a year old or even older than that, so it's probably a good time just to kind of give a refresher on my thoughts on all of that. So I come from a place of living in a pretty normal society, a pretty normal kind of high-end job, living in a nice apartment with a nice car and working towards having a family and all this type of stuff. And I started to wake up to the situation that humanity is in, and it became pretty clear to me that humanity is largely being lied to and largely living as slaves. And as I became aware of that, it became increasingly distasteful to continue to be a part of that system. So having any kinds of bills, having to pay insurance, having to have a driver's license, asking permission from someone to do something with my own property. And I just over time, I just started releasing these things, right? So I released my apartment and I started living in my truck, and that was a really big jump and it brought so much space and freedom and joy to my life, right? So it's not just to get away from what I see as an evil slave system, but also to get to a place where I look forward to waking up every morning and I'm doing things that I think are important and which I enjoy, and basically spending my time the way I want to rather than other people are, than the way other people want me to spend their time, which is my time, which is what a job is, right? Someone's paying you to spend your time doing what benefits them. So, yeah, that's the big part. That's the big reason why I live this way. I can go into a lot of details there, but that's kind of the gist of it. And my current situation is, I moved from living, like I said, in an apartment to living in my truck, and then I got rid of the truck, and I built a solar electric bike, which can hold quite a bit of gear, and I built its battery pack and all that type of stuff. You can see my videos on that. But that's basically my situation, and I have the solar electric bike and go about 50 miles up a mountain road with a big hot tent and a wood stove and all this type of stuff in it. And I'm living on a permaculture farm right now, but I don't have access to electricity beyond the solar that I generate on the bike. I use an outdoor, I basically don't use a bathroom, right? I go to the bathroom outside, and I have kind of like a composting situation where I put straw on top of it and all this type of stuff. I don't use wash machines. I haven't bathed or showered since June. Yeah, so I basically don't have any bills. Do I have any bills? I guess the only bills I have are kind of like paying for my servers, right? I have a couple of web servers that I run for my website and a couple other things. And I pay for those with cryptocurrency that I earn by making these videos. And beyond that, the only bills are, just acquiring food. I don't have rent and all that type of stuff. So when I have very little, then there's much less money that I need to make to get the things, right? So that means I have way more time to do what I actually want to do. And my long-term goals here are, and I think I'll be moving to this in the spring, is to not even have the hot tent or the bike, right? I'm just going to be on foot. I'm going to have everything I own will be in my backpack or what I can carry on my person while walking. This will give me lots of functionality for being able to be flexible about going different places and working with different groups of people towards different goals. And it also gives me flexibility if things start getting really bad in the world, which I think is pretty clear is happening, especially in certain places. It's very ramped up, but I think it'll get bad in most places. And at a certain point, I think it will be a good idea to just be able to disappear for several months into the wilderness, not interact with civilization at all. And that's the situation I've worked myself into. And a big part of the reason also why I'm where I am now is because I've always sort of known that the world was going to go to a place like this where things are going to get really rough, and if you're reliant on the system at all, then it's going to be big trouble for you. So I've kind of been slowly easing myself into it. And yeah, it's, it's not just advantageous, but it's also wonderful. It's so nice to live simply. And I also think a large part of my life purpose is to be someone who is here at this point in time showing people how to do this, because I think a lot of people are going to realize that this is necessary, and that they didn't have all the time that I've had to prepare. And so, I guess you could say I feel like, God's purpose for my life is partly, at least, to serve as a way to educate people on how to do these types of things, and hopefully also to help us rebuild on the other side. But we'll see if I survive, right? So in the very least, I feel confident that my work will help at least one person, hopefully many people, to survive through this, even if I don't. So all right, that's pretty much the gist of why I live the way I do. And thanks for the question. If you guys have any other questions, just let me know. So see you later. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll share it with someone that you care about. It helps them, it helps me, and it'll help you feel like a healthy type of person. If you're feeling extra generous, you can head on over to cahlen.org/gift, and there you can basically learn of ways to help me feed myself, shelter myself, and to upgrade and repair my gear. All donations give you the option of having a 1-hour life coaching call with me. So thanks again for watching.